Today, we're going to be talking about some of the FNAF fan games that have stood the test of time. Despite releasing years ago, these games are still just as enjoyable, memorable, and impressive today as they were when they first launched. Some of these continue to be replayed by fans for a very good reason, so let's get into it. Remakes of the original Click Team FNAF games, something that is definitely pretty popular within the FNAF community. However, how many of them can you name that are actually memorable? FNAF 1 Remake, FNAF 2 Reimagined, Hopeless Pursuit. Sure, those are all titles that are definitely memorable for one reason or another, but the game we're going to be covering today I feel is very memorable. A game I only discovered recently and I really enjoyed. Today, we'll be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's Legacy, a recreation of the first FNAF game with so many changes, it's hard to tell that's even what it is. So strap in, because we've got a lot to talk about this time around. Join me today as we clap our cheeks into the world of Five Nights at Freddy's Legacy. Legacy does not begin in a very typical FNAF fashion. We begin in this red void of smoke, and a disembodied voice of who knows who speaking to us. They ask if they've reached us, and after confirming, they ask us the question, do you know what happens when the past gets infused with agony? After explaining that the answer is that it changes, they ask us one more question. Why did we drown in the lake? They say that we've disturbed its peace. Not knowing what it is, the voice tells us we've brought consequences. So this tells me that this disembodied voice is most likely Old Man Consequences, from referencing the lake, the literally saying consequences, to of course the red background. That's really the only line I can draw as to who this is. But with that, we're booted to the menu screen and we can really begin. But of course, this game is still not done being extra. Upon starting a new game, we get what feels like a teaser trailer for the game, but it's inside of the game. I have no idea, it's really goofy and unique and I like it. But would you believe me if I told you that even after that, this game is still not done being itself? Let's just say that, because it's not. Afterwards, we get an opening cutscene.
Hello, my name is Ethan Caldwell, and tonight we continue our coverage of the developing case surrounding the mysterious disappearance at the recently reopened Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The public had been captivated by the case. The missing security guard, 25 years old Daniel Grace, had last been seen arriving late for work on Monday night. No official causes had been released by officials, but the bizarre circumstances of Grace's disappearance have fostered speculation. Tragic accident, or was something more sinister involving the recently reopened Freddy Fazbear's Pizza?
Very interesting opening cutscene. Voice acting, not terrible at all. Really setting the scene. I'm enjoying this. What happens next? Oh my god, we're still not done being extra. Okay, that's fine. I can work with this. After watching the cutscene, we begin outside of the building and actually have to walk inside and into the back room to start doing tasks before the night truly begins. As far as I'm aware, there's nothing interesting you can find while walking to this back room. Oh, yeah, fat motherfucker. Jesus. Ugly. So once we get there, we can explain the downloading log task minigame. It's very simple. You have two monitors. One monitor you can use to download the phone call for each night so that you can listen to it later, and you can also read some interesting information. The second monitor is a camera feed that auto-scrolls through the cameras in the building. All you have to do is download the phone call by clicking and holding, and if Bonnie ever comes into the back room with you, just hide under your desk until you hear him leave. Oh my fucking Christ! Oh my god. Okay, Bonnie's on the move again. Why are you looking at me he's giving me that dream angle, bro. And don't give me the dream angle, bro. Once you finish fully downloading the phone call, you'll be thrown into the night. But before we can talk about the night, we first have to talk about the lore information you can read. After the disappearance of Charlie, the Fredbear's Family Diner closes its doors for good. Finally, I'm tired of working in this place. The animatronics smell like rotten eggs. I hope they never open again. So it seems in this universe, we have some name swaps. That's always fun. Who is Charlie? I have no idea. However, it's pretty clear he's dead as fuck. Not very Riz, but okay, you do you, I guess, boo. They say the animatronics smell like eggs. Weird diss, I suppose, but there are probably dead kids in there, so I guess that checks out too. Anyways, onto the actual night section. How does that sound? Night 1 gives us literally the longest phone call on the face of the planet. Seriously, it lasts until 4:30 a.m. Please God kill me. Anyways, fuck what the phone guy has to say. I'm gonna do it for him. My voice is way better, and I know you guys have some odd things to say about my voice. Yes, I read every single comment I get, by the way, guys. Some of you are fucking freaks. Behave. Let's start by talking about your office because it is a little different from FNAF 1. You do still have 2 doors, so that's nothing new. On the left side, you'll be able to flash the light down the hallway and hold the door closed. Simple sugar. This is what I do to my Willy in bed. I just fucking rock it back and forth. I'm gonna shut up. The right side, however, is where things start to get a bit different. You'll notice there's no door. Well, uh-oh. Where the fuck did it go, huh? Well, joke's on you, there was never a door there in the first place. Why the hell would this company install a door on one side and not the other? I have no fucking idea. Someone clearly did the budget very poorly and they should be ashamed of themselves because this is just embarrassing. To compensate for no door, you can flash your flashlight down the hall and see a grand total of fucking nothing at all because your flashlight is actually ass. But who cares, right? Let's just hope we never have to use it. In front of us is a monitor that surprisingly is not our camera. On it, we have 3 options: reboot, alarm, and vent. I literally never once used the reboot menu, so I'm just gonna pretend like it doesn't even exist. The alarm and vent sections, however, are important, and I will explain them more once they become important. Anyways, who are the big bastards introduced on this night? Well, it's a remake of FNAF 1, so that should be pretty obvious. Night 1 introduces Bonnie and Chica. Don't click off the video! I promise they're interesting and do wildly different things than what they do in the original. I wouldn't be covering this game if they didn't. I promise. Let's start with Bonnie since we've already encountered him in the pre-night minigame. Bonnie can attack both your left and right doors. Fuck. I was hoping we could avoid using the flashlight, but I guess I'll just put my balls in a vice grip then, who cares? Bonnie is a shy little autistic emo femboy and doesn't handle eye contact very well. So if you stare at the camera he's on for too long, he'll crank that Soulja Boy and knock the entire thing offline for the rest of the night. Which, by the way, the phone guy mentions that the repair for said camera will come out of our paycheck if that is to happen. And since we're living in FNAF world where we're making a whopping $100 a week, I highly doubt one of our paychecks would even be enough to pay for that anyways. So let's really try to prevent that from happening, shall we? If Bonnie chooses to attack your left door, you will be able to see him in the hallway when you use your light. From that point, just hold the door closed until you hear him bang on it and congrats, problem solved, he'll go back to the stage. Bonnie's attack on the right door is a little bit more interesting. When Bonnie gets to the right door, he will literally enter your office, which is just not a fun sight at all and will in fact make your blood pressure spike to 168 in a fraction of a second. Once he's in your office, you'll have to use the alarm system to make the loudest fucking noise of all time. And when you do, he'll run away because it's too loud and overstimulating. And remember, he's a little autistic, he's sensitive to sound, so you're really just bullying an autistic kid. That's not very epic, but do what you gotta do, I guess. Chica, on the other hand, also has 2 means of attacking you. The first has her go to a certain camera. Now pause for a moment. I want you to take a look at her belly and tell me, what camera do you think she goes to? If you said the bathroom to shit, I'll give you half points because she does travel through the bathroom. Chica's looking me in my eyes. Look at a cupcake. Look at a cupcake, bro. Look at his eyes. He's trying to seduce me and shit. And it's like low-key kind of working. I meant what? But no, the actual answer is the kitchen because she's a whale. If she's in the kitchen, you will have to use the bell button to scare her away. If you're wondering why the sound of a bell that signifies that food is ready would scare a hippo who eats for a living away, the answer is because she gets scared that the food has already been served in the dining room and she's really scared that she may have missed it and maybe the kids in the dining room have already started eating, but she actually has a rule in her house where nobody is allowed to eat until she's full, except spoiler alert, roly-poly ass chicken bitch is never full, so all of the kids starve and die. Anyways, move. The stupidest thing I've ever written. Anyways, moving on to her second attack where she goes into your vents. Now pause. There's a very easy fat joke I could make here about her not being able to fit in the vent. However, I would never make a fat joke, and this game indirectly makes one for me. Let me explain. Throughout my playthrough, which you can see over on my second channel, Dxtr Black, Chica attacked me through the vent no more than 3 times ever. For some reason, she just doesn't really ever do it, which would lead me to believe that my headcanon that she's such a fat bitch. Which would lead me to believe that my headcanon that she's such a fat bitch that she's too scared to try and move through the vents would be correct. If you want to hear my alternative headcanon as to why she doesn't attack through the vents, even though she's programmed to, it's that she'd much rather go to the kitchen where the food might be. Pig-ass fucking robot bitch. Anyways, if she does go through the vent, she'll make a sound cue, and all you have to do is use your monitor to seal the vent until you hear her leave. But hey, not so bad. Pretty easy to understand overall. With that, we complete night 1 and can move on to night 2. But of course, before we can start night 2, we have a pre-night phone call to download. Fuck actually talking about the minigame part, it's literally identical to night 1, and the remainder of the nights are as well. But we can of course talk about the lore we can read during it. Finally got the job here at this new Freddy's location. I can't wait to start tinkering around with those animatronic models. They're supposed to have this new advanced free roam mode? Crazy technology. This message seems to be coming from a possible new hire technician designed to work on programming the characters. In the night 1 phone call, the phone guy mentions that the characters were specifically programmed to walk around at night to stretch their legs. So maybe this guy is the guy that chose to make that decision, even though there's literally no need for it whatsoever. This guy just seems like the type to get way too excited over his interests. He probably has a pony jar, I'm just saying. Night 2 begins with the phone guy talking literally as long as he fucking can. This phone call lasts until 2:50 a.m. So that's just awesome. Anyways, who gets introduced on this night? Well, slow your roll, fucker. There's 2 things about the cameras I want to talk about first. The first is that during this phone call, the phone guy mentions that William disabled the backstage camera. However, when you go to check the backstage camera, you'll see that it works perfectly fine. So I don't know what that guy was talking about. The second thing is that Bonnie destroyed the kitchen camera, so you're stuck listening to be able to tell if Chica is there or not. Hooray! I love life. That's a lie, I don't. Anyways, back to who gets introduced on this night. Well, guess what? It's nobody. Nobody is introduced on this night. I'm fairly certain that night 2 is when Bonnie and Chica are allowed to start using their second form of attack. Bonnie's right hall attack and Chica's vent attack. Maybe. I'm not really sure exactly why nothing new is introduced here, if I'm being honest, but that's what happens. Anyways, let's move on to night 3. Maybe something new will be added there. Night 3, phone guy only talks until 1:53 a.m. So hey, I guess that's progress. Night 3 does actually introduce something new, but before we talk about who it is, I want to mention something the phone guy brings up. He says that William ordered 2 vintage animatronics, a type of animatronic that they don't make anymore, from an old location. Now, I'm not a genius, but it also doesn't take a genius to figure out that he's undoubtedly talking about Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. He says they won't need any repairs, so that means they're working exactly as intended and there shouldn't be any problems with them at all, right? Anyways, night 3 introduces Freddy, and a mechanic that makes me want to stick a push pin in my testicle, pull it out, and slowly squeeze all of the various juices out of it. Freddy stays on stage for a majority of the night. However, whenever he damn well pleases, he will choose to leave with a sound cue. When he does, you will have to find him on the fucking cameras as he teleports to a random one. God damn, guys, I'm getting real sick of this mechanic, you know that? Anyways, luckily, Freddy can't go to literally any camera. He can only teleport to the backstage camera, the arcade camera, the dining hall camera, the restroom camera, or the entrance camera. Basically all the fucking cameras. Once you find which camera Freddy went to, all you have to do is use a camera flash to send him back to the main stage. I know I haven't talked about the camera flash yet, but this is really the only occasion you ever use it. So I thought, why bring it up earlier? Anyways, let's move on. You don't need to hear me explain my thought process for pacing while I script. Let's continue. Actually, now that I say let's continue, I'm noticing that's the only thing night 3 introduces, so we should probably move on to night 4. But hold up! After beating night 3, we actually get a post-night 8-bit minigame. And this is actually the only post-night 8-bit minigame throughout the whole game. In this minigame, we play as William inside the restaurant. Upon trying to leave the room, we're told to get what we need. After what took me probably 5 fucking minutes of trial and error, I finally found out that you need to interact with this very obvious looking present on this table. You might be wondering how it took me 5 minutes to figure that out, and that's because I tried it right away, but nothing happened. The hitboxes in this minigame are some of the most retarded, inconsistent shit I've ever seen. If I had to pick a least favorite moment from this entire game, it would undoubtedly be playing this minigame. Anyways, after opening the gift box, we get a knife and can exit the back room. Outside of it, we find a crying child asking for his parents. We tell him we know where his parents are, and upon following us to the back room, we fucking murder him, smiling the entire time. What if I just don't? Can I just choose to like not do that? Maybe that's a crazy ask. Okay, I have to. Damn! Based. Based. Everybody, it's based. Based and Riz. Based and Riz, bro. Anyways, on to night 4. Night 4 has the phone guy relapse and completely break all of his progress he's made so far as he yaps until fucking 4:06 a.m. Jesus Christ, bro. There cannot be that much to talk about. And in truth, there really isn't. 80% of his phone calls are made up of awkwardly laughing at the unfunniest joke you've ever heard really slowly, and then pretending like the joke he said he didn't even say. Interesting.
Let's just say the camera now has a new perspective on the floor tiles.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Phone guy is a character for sure in this game. Anyways, what's introduced? Night 4 introduces one new threat, that being Foxy. The final threat this game introduces, actually. And if you know my videos, you know I'm fucking lying and we're gonna introduce some more later, but fuck you. Foxy is probably my favorite character in this entire game, having his attack act as sort of a minigame reminiscent of Five Nights at Candy's 3. Very vaguely. Foxy will slowly appear out from behind his curtains, which, in all honesty, these Foxy frames are probably the creepiest frames throughout the entirety of this game, if I'm being honest. They're not like literally scary, but the positions he's in, mixed with how large he is, just makes him feel very uncomfortable. Anyways, how does he work? After he leaves Pirate's Cove, you will be able to hear him running towards either your left door or your right door, and very intense music will start playing like it's a fucking boss fight, which I think is really cool. If he runs towards your left door, all you have to do is close the door until you hear him bang on it. If he runs to the right door, all you have to do is hold your light on his face until he runs away. Where this becomes slightly reminiscent of Candy's 3 is that he will move around and attack multiple times, going back and forth between the two doors as many times as he'd like. Is it hard? No, and in fact, literally every other character pauses while Foxy is attacking you. So that's very RNG considerate. Thank you guys greatly. But yeah, that's about it. Pretty fun character overall. Gets your blood pumping a bit, especially when you hear the music that starts to play alongside it. But anyways, on to night 5. I lied. I have one other thing I want to talk about first. During the night 4 phone call, the phone guy mentions that one of the animatronics they were shipping arrived early and was like nothing that was written down to be shipped. A single endoskeleton with a weird model they've never seen before and very sharp fingers. They say they're leaving it in the safe room for now until they know what to do with it. First of all, I should mention that the safe room is a camera that you have never been able to access since the start of the game. The second thing to mention is that I'm not like an expert, and I'm really bad when it comes to the official FNAF lore, like criminally terrible, and if I'm being honest, I actually don't even like the official FNAF lore, and I haven't since Pizzeria Simulator. But that endoskeleton sounds a lot like the Mimic to me. Maybe I'm just a bit nutty, but I bet I'm not. 6 a.m., bro, let's do it. Easy peasy lemon dick.
This is Henry Emily, the founder and, for better or worse, the sole person responsible for this place's continued existence.
Oh my god, it's the fucking Mimic. So yeah, after beating night 4, we get a scrap minigame with what I can only imagine is the Mimic. And of course, this minigame works exactly how the minigames in Pizzeria Simulator work. Play some weird-ass sounds, document results. Watch the fucker across the table move in ways you'd really prefer it doesn't. You know, FNAF shit. Shit we're all used to at this point. But after you get jump-scared by the Mimic, we can talk about the pre-Night 5 minigame. Dexter, you've already said these don't change. Well, you're right. It really doesn't change from the other 4 we've done. However, on this night, we also get access to the admin panel where we can actually enable the safe room camera's access. Oh yeah, and we also see M2 plans that are redacted. I'm pretty sure being references to the Mimic, and Charlotte being redacted too. Dead kid stuff, who cares? I want to see this camera, bro. Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that one bit, I can tell you what. Well, we're gonna talk about those guys a bit later. For now, let's just talk about Night 5. Night 5 is pretty boring overall, being a harder version of Night 4. That is, until you beat it. That's when something I wasn't expecting to happen at all happened.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you like this, but I'm afraid your time is up. Your curiosity and your need for answers are what first brought you here. And now, they have become your undoing. Because all those who enter this place are doomed to never leave. There are monsters who steal others' voices, monsters who steal others' souls. And then, there is you, the one who craved to learn more than he should, and more than he ever will. You will not find the answers you seek here, only your ruin. But while your sacrifice will be forgotten, the impact it will have will not, as the wounds of the past left to fester can finally heal. There will be no more suffering, no more loss, only peace. Peace and a forgotten tomb sealed away, never to be opened again. It all ends tonight. End communication.
Holy shit, we're getting a Golden Freddy boss fight, and it actually has the most badass intense boss music I've ever heard in my fucking life. Golden Freddy isn't very complicated, but he does attack you very quickly, so you'll have to stay on your toes. And of course, he has several attack methods at his disposal, which are all inspired by the attacks of the other characters in typical boss night fight fashion. His first attack has him appear at your right door. All you have to do is hold your light on him until he goes away. His other attack has him pull a Freddy and have you find him on the cameras. However, this one actually proves to be easier than Freddy is, since he actually only appears on 2 cameras, the back room and the entrance. And that's actually it. Dxtr, that's it? That's all the final boss of this game has to offer? Really? Hey, shut the fuck up. Look at how much time is left in this video. We're not done yet, bro. Sit the fuck down. About 30 seconds into the night is when you'll notice that all the other characters are still active. What the fuck? This is why Golden Freddy only has 2 attacks, because he's in addition to everything else you've already gotten used to, mixed with the incredibly intense music, the fire all over your screen, the shit in my britches. This serves to be one of the coolest boss fight nights I've ever seen in a FNAF game. It's so fun.
Good morning. I am Ethan Caldwell. We're coming to you with breaking news. A catastrophic fire has reduced the newly reopened Freddy Fazbear's Pizza to ashes in what officials are calling a nightmare scenario. Flames tore through the building just after 7 a.m., with witnesses reporting smoke so thick it blotted out the morning sun. Firefighters arrived, but the inferno had already consumed the entire structure. Authorities confirm all employees escaped unharmed, and thankfully, no customers were inside at the time. However, in a grim twist, investigators have revealed 2 disturbing details. First, the restaurant's infamous animatronic characters, along the centerpiece of the franchise, were completely destroyed in the blaze. And second, even more unsettling, there was an intruder inside when the fire broke out. Security footage recovered from an external camera shows an unidentified individual entering the building in the middle of the night. Their motives remain unknown. What is certain, however, is that they never made it out. Police have not yet released a description, but sources close to the investigation say the manner of death was, unquote, horrific. This tragedy only deepens the dark legacy of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. After years of controversy, bizarre incidents, and persistent rumors of hauntings, many are asking, was this arson, an accident, or something far more unnatural and sinister? We'll continue to follow the story shortly for Channel 7 News. Stay tuned.
To our beloved Fazbear family. At Fazbear Entertainment, our top priority has always been delivering safe, wholesome, and unforgettable experiences for families across our establishment. In light of the recent isolated events at one of our locations, we want to take this opportunity to reassure our loyal fans that every possible measure is being taken to ensure such thing will not happen again. While the exact circumstances surrounding the incident remain under internal review, preliminary findings suggest it was caused by absolutely nothing related to prior complaints or unresolved maintenance issues. Our team is working closely with third-party investigators to determine the best path forward. We'd also like to clarify that reports of unusual activity prior to the event, including alleged animatronic malfunctions, unexplained power surges, are entirely unfounded and likely the result of overactive imaginations. Rest assured, all our animatronic performers are completely harmless and incapable of independent movement outside of their pre-programmed routines. Any footage suggesting otherwise is clearly doctored or taken out of context. As we look toward the future, Fazbear Entertainment is excited to announce a temporary pause on operations at the affected location while we conduct routine modernization efforts. We remain fully committed to reopening when the time is right. Thank you for your unwavering trust. Warm regards, Fazbear Entertainment Public Relations Team. Creating smiles, no matter what. Afterwards, we get yet another chat with Old Man Consequences. We obviously died in that fire on night 5, but the old man asks us what we would do if we could go to a timeline where the fire didn't occur, a timeline where William failed. The old man wants to show us what would happen, and show us he does, as next we're set to take on the Golden Ones. But before we do, we get a black gift box. Inside, a note which reads, "Every ripple is a year you can't take back." Night 6 has us take on Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, with all of the other characters disassembled in the back room. This night is easily the most challenging night throughout the entire game. Let's talk about why. Let's start by talking about Spring Bonnie, who has 2 forms of attack. The first has him attack your left door exactly like Bonnie. Same rules apply here, just close the door. However, it's a much better option to just not even let him get to your door in the first place. The way you do so is very easy. Whenever you flash Spring Bonnie on your cameras, he will go back to the stage. So you're obviously going to want to do that a lot. What about his second attack? Well, that would have him use the vents, which, by the way, unlike fat ass, fuck ass, dumb ass, bitch ass, dunce ass, stupid ass, dumb ass Chica, he will actually do very frequently, and he is incredibly fast in them. The moment you hear his vent sound cue, you need to drop whatever you're doing and focus on that goddamn vent, because he will rail you in your ass if you don't. But what about Fredbear? Honestly, he's easier than Spring Bonnie in every way, but he does cause 2 major annoyances in combination with Spring Bonnie. Fredbear tries to attack your right door, just like Bonnie. When he enters, play the alarm and he'll leave. However, when the alarm is playing, Spring Bonnie actually moves at a faster rate, which is just fucking awful. Also, it's probably a good idea to mention that Fredbear also attacks fast as shit. And actually, both of their aggression increases throughout the night, so near the end, you'll probably have Fredbear in your office all the fucking time. Hooray. But what about the other super annoying thing that Fredbear does? Well, Fredbear doesn't like being flashed and will disable any camera that you do flash with him on it, requiring you to reboot, which takes forever. The problem? Well, it's common for Spring Bonnie and Fredbear to appear on the same camera at the same time. And with how quickly Spring Bonnie moves, it's likely that the muscle memory to flash immediately will be built quickly. So if you're anything like me, you were accidentally flashing Fredbear a lot. And if you're really retarded like me, you'd forget that the camera's being disabled does not mean the night is over, and every single time you accidentally flashed Fredbear, instead of just rebooting, you instead chose to restart the night every single time. I'm not the brightest person, guys, okay? I try my best over here. These streets are hard. Even though these 2 characters together don't have many ways of killing you, this night is still incredibly stressful, mainly with just how fast these 2 get in the final hour. However, something about this night, and this entire game in fact, is that I honestly never once felt like RNG was a factor at all. And that's rare. I play FNAF games for a living, so I see a lot of them. And never once have I played a game that really felt like there was no RNG at all. And I honestly think that's one of the coolest things, ever. But if you can keep your composure long enough, you'll complete the night and get to watch this super awesome tape.
Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a magic place for kids and grown-ups alike, where fantasy and fun come to life. Our establishment is a place where fun and safety go hand in hand. Part of what makes our family-friendly experience so special are the animatronics that entertain our guests. To ensure they continue to operate smoothly and safely, proper cleaning and maintenance is essential. And that's where you come in, our dear employee. Without you, none of this would be ever possible. In this tape, we will guide you through the process of cleaning our beloved animatronics. It is important to follow these steps carefully and thoroughly to keep our characters in tip-top shape and ensure everyone's safety.
How to clean the joints and mechanisms.
First of all, you will need a soft brush, a mild cleaning solution, and a dry towel. Avoid using any harsh chemicals as they can damage the animatronic suit. Using said soft brush, carefully clean the joints and mechanical parts while avoiding any visible human remains.
Human remains, human remains, human remains.
And once you finish cleaning, give yourself a pat on the back and a complimentary slice of pizza and climb into the animatronic. This really makes sure that it's ready to entertain our guests again. And thank you so much for being a part of Fazbear Entertainment. Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for any injury, loss of a child, or loss of a head that may occur on our premises. By entering our establishment, you agree that Fazbear Entertainment is not liable for any damages, accidents, or unfortunate incidents that may arise.
While I do find it incredibly unfortunate that I had to look at Fat Shit Toy Freddy for a majority of this tape, we do see some pretty rizzy stuff, like a redacted dead child probably, and of course the Golden Freddy scene, where he mentions there's a girl inside of him, most likely referring to the fact that there are two souls caught inside of the Golden Freddy suit. Something about this game that I really like is that there's so much additional, non-repetitive things added to it. The random 8-bit minigame, this tape, the salvage minigame, none of it was needed, but I think it's such a nice touch that it was chosen to be added anyways. After the tape, we get one final chat with Old Man Consequences. He asks if we wish to go back, if we're finally satisfied. He mentions how boring the present is and asks if we enjoyed the legacy. Nice name drop, by the way. There's also like so much other bullshit he says in this final cutscene. I'm gonna be real, guys. I just cannot be fucked to try and understand it. There's so much random symbolic shit about like the lake being a mirror and being pulled out when you're choking from drowning in the lake, but the lake is a mirror, so what the fuck? I hate metaphors and I don't want the headache. I'm sure whatever this means is super deep and cool, but I'm not about to spend the next 5 hours writing a fucking MLA format essay trying to decipher it. Not my forte, thank you. But with that, that's all Five Nights at Freddy's Legacy has to offer. Overall, I think this game is probably my favorite reimagining of the original FNAF game that I've ever played. Each character feels super unique, and even the typical boring characters have multiple ways to attack you, which keeps them interesting the whole time. There's so much extra things added throughout the game to keep the loop exciting. The game looks amazing, the story is intriguing and mysterious, which I know a lot of people really like, and I would definitely recommend you go and give it a try. What do you think is the most underrated Five Nights at Freddy's fan game ever made? A series that is so amazing you'd think it'd be talked about everywhere. But when you go to check, it seems like nobody has ever even heard of it. The game we'll be covering today is one of those games for me, and when doing research for this video, especially when talking about the lore, I found it incredibly difficult to piece it together because of how little information there seems to be about it. But rest assured, I think I've got it figured out. The game we'll be covering today is Project Readjusted, a FNAF fan game with one of my favorite stories of all time. Sit back, relax, and let's jump into this amazing trilogy together. First big change I noticed in Project Readjusted from most FNAF games is the way the phone calls were handled. Rather than having the phone calls take place inside the game, this game instead chooses to have us listen to the phone call before we even load into the office, instead giving us a still image to look at showing the characters we will be seeing on each night. I'll admit it's unique, however, I think I'd personally prefer to be able to mess around with the cameras, mechanics, and so on while the phone guy is talking, and just have to make sure nobody moves while that's happening. I feel that's a much better way to utilize the first phone call in a FNAF game. The first phone call doesn't give out any meaningful information, really just going over how the main character Buster works, but it's my job to explain the mechanics, so I don't think I'll be letting the depressed sounding Wei Ji do that for me. Upon loading into the office, you may feel just a little cramped, and that's normal. This office is teeny tiny, like much smaller than most FNAF offices I've seen in my days. Obviously, we have a door to the office, because if we didn't, I'd question how we even got into the room in the first place. However, the interesting thing about this door is that it doesn't close. Oh, Dxtr, does it not have an actual door? Like, it's just a doorway? No, there's a door. Our character just for some reason chooses not to close it. But instead of thinking that's because we're playing in the shoes of a dumbass, I'm instead going to assume it's because we're playing in the shoes of a badass who isn't scared of anything. We also, of course, have our cameras, which are very interesting to say the least. To start, they have two modes, lights on mode and useless mode, because as I'm sure you could have guessed, if the lights are off, you can't see anything. I know, groundbreaking. You'll also notice you have a camera stability percentage. What does that mean? Well, as the name suggests, it reads the percentage of your camera stability. I'm sorry, I'll stop talking like that. While on your cameras, the stability will quickly decrease. Putting the camera down will cause it to quickly increase back up. If it drops down to 0, you're gonna have to wait a while before being able to use it again. So, what about that Buster fella I mentioned earlier? How does he work? Great question, viewer of questionable stench. Buster is as basic as a character can get. I'm sure you could probably guess what he does, but it's my job to tell you. Buster will move around through the cameras with the goal of getting to your office. Once there, he'll peek his little head through the door. Using this comically large blue button on the wall of your office, you can shine a light into the doorway, revealing he has the teeth of a British person. Hold this light on him for long enough and he'll go away. Simple sugar. After night 1, we get a short cutscene. You guys seem to like the narration I did in my Maggie's video, so instead of just summarizing what happened like I would usually do, I figured, why not narrate this as well? Hey, it's been a long time, you and me. We finally met ends on a good note, for now. I'm only implying that our experience will be better. Now, there is something I need to tell you. I know I'm jumping to conclusions without explaining who I am, but bear with me. There is something inside this diner. Just maybe put on some type of gig to make some fool believe you to make them work here. Maybe that person will lure that thing out. I'll tell you more tomorrow, but for now, let's begin to go inside. Let's take the back alley, as it's less noticeable. Come along, we only have 5 days. Sounds like someone's trying to dupe us and use us as bait. That's not very kind, vaguely barbaric. But whatever, we're already working here. I guess it's just in our best interest to not die. Moving on to night 2, you can quickly take a little nap because the phone guy takes a billion years to talk about the new character this night adds, and ramble about some arcade machines. The new character added on this night is Old Buster. At least, that's the name that would make sense. However, this character's name is actually Redeemer. Quite literally, being an older Buster model, I can't quite wrap my head around why they chose to name him in the way they did. Redeemer makes use of your vents, something I've neglected to mention thus far. You can't really see it, but the vent is to the right of your office behind the door, so just out of sight. Redeemer does whatever he damn well pleases until he eventually decides to enter the vent. When he does, an obvious sound cue will play letting you know he's entered. Once he reaches your office, he'll dive in. When he's in your office, it's very important that you don't look at him. However, since the office we're in is so small, it may prove very difficult to just look away from him. So you'll have to be looking at your cameras while he's in your office instead. I guess Redeemer has the mindset of, if I can't see him, he can't see me. Stupid ass robot. This, however, may bring up a possible conflict. If your camera stability is too low by the time Redeemer gets to your office, it's safe to say that you wouldn't have a very good time. But luckily for us, at this point in the game, checking the cameras is entirely useless. So as of right now, this shouldn't be a problem. Hey, so I was looking around in these garbage bins and found a key. It's great, I know, the low effort put into protecting this place. Anyways, remember that idea I had, well, a few minutes ago? I got this one guy in my phone now. His name is Hayden Simmons. Pretty dumb fellow. I bet he doesn't even know of this place. Probably a high school dropout or a kid desperate for some easy cash. Well, now let's venture inside this establishment and set up an office for our buddy. So, we know the name of our character, Hayden Simmons. Too bad his name is one of the rhyming Aiden names, probably the worst group of names anybody could have. That's besides the point though. It seems like the building we're working in isn't even supposed to have an office. It's clear something sinister is going on here, but we don't quite know what yet. Moving on to night 3, I'm going to spare you the details and have us skip the phone call because he explains what the newest character does in an amount of time that could be an entire video by itself. Night 3 introduces Ned. Ned is ugly. Like, ugly as sin. He's got a face not even a mother could love. Booger-ah, boy. He will try to make his way to your office via the long hallway in the building. Unlike Buster, he isn't a complete dumbass, so the light trick won't really work on him. What will work on him, however, is the replace machinery button that I've blatantly and purposefully ignored up until this point, because explaining it earlier really wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense, now would it? Ned has multiple stages in the hallway. Every time you use the replace machinery button, he will go back a stage. I'm sure you can figure out how this works. Push him back, wait for the button to recharge, push him back again, keep him away from your office, which would in turn keep him away from your genitals. Whoopity-doo. However, this does bring up the issue of us needing to use our cameras now. So in combination with Redeemer, Ned could end up being a big problem down the road. Alright, sorry for keeping you waiting, but I had to run back to my car to get a battery for my phone. It's pretty low percentage right now, but it'll last now. Hayden says he'll be able to work next week, which is great. We'll pay him around $150 for his work, I guess. Maybe it's considered a scam to him, but I don't care. He just said he's not a fan of night jobs, but will do it anyways, and he'll play on his phone. That's gonna go down well. Anyways, let's head inside. The Wi-Fi better not be bad inside, I swear. Not much to note from this cutscene. We know we're getting criminally underpaid, and we know that playing on our phone really isn't going to be an option, which just makes me smile from ear to ear personally. Night 4 introduces 2 new characters. However, one of them serves to be more of an annoyance than an actual threat, so we'll talk about him first. Greg is a little asshole. Really, this game's Balloon Boy. Not because he has the same mechanic, except I lied because he kinda does. His main goal is to disable your light and leave you vulnerable to Buster. He'll slowly crawl across your office. You will have to click him multiple times to make him go away. If you don't, he'll park his fat ass on the button and prevent you from using your light. You might be asking yourself, Dxtr, clicking on him? How does the game justify that making sense? Perfect question. From the way the phone guy describes it, it's just poking him. So I guess this motherfucker's just the Pillsbury Doughboy. Ticklish ass robot. The other That's so fucking stupid. The other character introduced on this night is Glancy, what I feel is this game's most frustrating character. Glancy tries to get into the back storage room and just literally fuck up everything in the entire building. Rip wires, killing your lights and your camera. So obviously something you should want to avoid. The way you do so is very easy. Remember how I mentioned the cameras had 2 states, on and useless? Well, turns out I lied, as the useless mode actually isn't useless. When Glancy gets into this back room, all you have to do is turn the camera lights off and he won't be able to see shit, making him decide to travel into another room by accident. I'd imagine it's an accident since he can't see, but he could have easily just gotten pissed off and left on his own accord. Which, if he can see where the exit is, you'd probably think he could see the wires, but I guess not. We're inside. Now, let's just put some of these cameras around the building and we'll be all set. Oh, never mind. There's a panel lying down on this shelf. Wait. You hear that? Well, anyways, you'll record calls just to convince him, Andrew. Just do a casual voice or whatever. Nice, these'll work. What the? Did I just hear walking? Wait, who are you? Andrew, run. He's looking for me. I'll see you around, friend. Dope. So we know the name of our phone guy, Andrew. Sounds like whoever is heard in these cutscenes isn't Andrew then. And apparently, upon entering the building, something found them. Andrew ran, leaving whoever he was with behind, not knowing what the outcome was. Night 5's phone call actually has something interesting in it, if you could believe that. Andrew tells us that the character introduced on this night has something they want. Finally, a motive for what they're doing. Apparently, this new character, Vinard, has a special chip that they really want. Andrew doesn't explain why they want this chip, but I'm sure we're gonna find out. Speaking of Vinard, what does he do? Well, he will try to hack the cameras so that you can't use them, and then wheel his way over to your office to kill you. Not sure why he has to disable the cameras to do that, but he does, I guess. Occasionally, you will see a purple error next to his camera. When you do, all you have to do is go to that camera and turn the light off so he can't see. Because like some people, he can't type without looking at the keyboard. Embarrassing. That's a talent you probably want to learn if you're on a computer all day. But that's really all he does. It really starts to show on this night how difficult this game can be, requiring you to be in the cameras very frequently. The only real chance you'll get to recharge your stability is when Buster is attacking, and I think that was on purpose for the sake of balancing, but maybe I'm being too optimistic. Unlike every other night, Night 5 doesn't have a post-night cutscene, so I can't talk about that. What I can talk about, however, is an Easter egg, and a fun piece of trivia about one of the characters in this game. After completing Night 5, you will unlock Custom Night. Inside, if you set everyone to max and click the Fox plushie in your office, you'll get this jump scare. And if you're interested in something about Vinard, he's actually a character made by Mixlass, the guy that made Tyke & Sons Lumber Co. and Baby's Nightmare Circus, which I've covered on this channel before. Definitely go watch that video after you finish this one. And as a result of using Mixlass's character, Mixlass then used one of Mechless's characters in his game Tyke & Sons Lumber Co. Pretty cool if you ask me. But that is all Project Readjusted has to offer. Overall, I think the game is surprisingly mechanically complex for a first game, something pretty uncommon with fan games that take place in a series like this. But don't let the lack of lore fool you, as Project Readjusted has one of the most interesting stories I've ever seen, and it continues in Project Readjusted 2. It's been so long since I've seen Matthew. He just disappeared. I must find him again. I have so many questions. I could possibly get answers from the new Buster's location. The location is currently being renovated, but they must need some kind of guard. Could be hiding there after all this time. Well, let's see where this takes me in my hunt to find him. Project Readjusted 2 opens with a mission already in mind, finding a man named Matthew. I'm unsure who Matthew could be. My only guess at this time is it's the guy that got left behind by Andrew in the first game, but that is obviously unconfirmed as of now. Our player, Andrew, enters an old Buster's location to look for answers, throwing us right into Night 1. Loading into Night 1, we get a call from the phone guy who goes over the basics of what we'll be doing. He mentions that they're currently working on newer models of all the characters. Not a whole lot of interest to point out during this call. However, what is of interest is how scared I was when I first saw the equivalent of 3 fucking music boxes in one camera. But lucky us, we don't have to worry about that right now. Unlike Readjusted 1, this game doesn't have anything to stop you from staring at your cameras for as long as you'd like, which is a breath of fresh air. But that only means that this game is going to be AIDS in a different way, and we'll figure out how soon. Let's talk about the first and only threat Night 1 introduces, Cable Buster, who I'm just going to be calling Buster because I'm lazy. Buster makes use of a new mechanic this game introduces, the Showtime tapes in Camera 1. When Buster gets to either Camera 5 or Camera 7, you will have to look at him. He will be repeating a day of the week. I don't know why he feels the need to say it out loud constantly. Phone guy explained that apparently that's what he's designed to do, walk around the building and inform people when the show is about to start. But why would he say the day of the week if that was the case? I have no idea. Once Buster says what day of the week the show is on, you will have to quickly go to camera 1, set the sound file to the day of the week he stated, and play the audio track. This will cause him to meander back to camera 1 and do a little jiggy. Just kidding, he doesn't dance. I just lied to you. Something isn't right. Papers are coming in about a missing person. A missing person at the old Buster's. It must have been the spy that Matthew took care of. He's on the prowl and I will end it in this place. There's no way I can fail this. His tracks are so hidden yet so predictable. I just need more clues. So, Matthew killed a guy, and not just any guy, he killed a spy. So clearly Matthew is probably a bad and dangerous man. So we should approach with caution. Not knowing anything else, we move on to night 2. Night 2, the phone guy introduces some new mechanics, but fuck him, my voice sounds better. Night 2 introduces Infested Glancer, but before we talk about what he does, we should talk about the second thing our cameras can do. Show some air ducts. Hooray! The air duct menu is very reminiscent of the ones from Ultimate Custom Night. You have a radar that you can use to detect anything moving inside. Spoiler alert, Glancer is inside. You may also notice that there are 3 things you can repair. Are your FNAF 3 senses going off? Because mine are going haywire and it's making me want to off myself. The 3 things to repair are your radar, your lights, and your doors. Glancer will attack any of the 3 vents in your air ducts, all of which lead to your office. Use the radar to find where he is and close the door when he gets too close. You'll notice that you have a meter on this screen that tracks your door power. If it runs out, you'll have to reboot the doors, and of course, after too many uses of your radar, you'll have to reboot that as well. Glancer brings up a very obvious issue. He's fucking annoying, and he's very fast, easily being the most annoying character in this entire game, demanding the majority of your attention like a clingy girlfriend that you're slowly falling out of love with. And of course, the repairs in this game are some of the most frustrating mechanics I've ever had to deal with, spending the majority of my playthrough listening to that ear-grating beeping. This is where camera stalling comes into play. By staring at Glancer, or Buster if you really wanted to, you can prevent them from moving. Glancer does not initially start in the air ducts, so I'd usually spend as long as I possibly could staring at him so he didn't slip away. Because once he's in those ducts is when he becomes Satan. I can't decide on what to do. This whole situation is terrible. One wrong step and I'm in jail or potentially executed. I'm not falling into that hole of guilt with no way to release it. But damn, corpse inside that Glancer suit has definitely gotta be the spy. What else would Matthew have done to the body? Thrown it out? No way. I got my evidence. Now I just have to find Matthew himself. He can't be stopped now. So apparently there's a body inside of Glancer, the spy that Matthew killed. So yeah, that checks out. It really wouldn't be a FNAF game if people weren't getting stuffed into mascot suits, would it? Night 2 introduces 2 new characters, Magic Suit and Wraith Ned. Let's talk about Ned first since he's less annoying. He's this game's version of a Phantom Chica. Occasionally, he can start to appear on one of your cameras. If you don't look away from him fast enough, he'll jump scare you and cause you to need to repair everything. Your radar, your lights, your doors, your dick. Not super annoying, just get some reflexes and you'll be fine. Magic Suit, on the other hand, is very annoying. This is the guy who thought it'd be really funny to have 3 fucking music boxes at the same time. His 3 plugs will slowly decrease in power. You'll have to keep them charged up if you don't want Magic Suit to Magic Mike you. Fuck. You'll have to keep fuck. You'll have to keep him charged up if you don't want Magic Suit to Magic Mike you. But in all honesty, these 2 new characters aren't even an issue. This entire game's main problem is Glancer. God, I hate him so much I could just stick a fork in my ass. That doesn't even make any sense, but irrational anger causes irrational responses sometimes. I don't know what to tell you. What the hell was that purple thing? Is the air in this place toxic? What the hell? Can't keep working here. I must escape before I lose my mind. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have a feeling finding Matthew won't be easy. Speaking of which, I found a tape from the old location. That Glancer suit had made itself in the backstage. How? Must have found the pieces from when the original Glancer and Glossy characters were split up and put together. I don't know how sewing those two together made any sense, but I guess it was good for Halloween. Scratch that. Anyways, Matthew forced that spy corpse down inside the Glancer suit while it was trying to escape. What is wrong with these chips? I feel like someone is controlling them. No way this is artificially programmed in the animatronics. It's too mobile. Now there's more than one thing I need to find out. Great. So it sounds to me that Glancer put himself together and tried to escape the building, but while doing so, Matthew stuffed a corpse of the spy inside of him. What the hell is going on? I have no idea, but hopefully some more context will come along soon. The only character introduced on Night 4 is Wraith Finn, being in my opinion the second biggest threat in this game. Finn will quietly appear in your office. Up until this point, you haven't had any reason to ever lower your camera. Well, Finn is now your reason. When he appears in your office, you will have to hold your mouse over the top half of his body until he fades away. If you don't, say hello to a fuck ton of repairs and a quick death. Something I find really weird about this mechanic is how it's explained in the game. The phone guy literally tells us to put our cursor over it.
She said she stared at what she saw, putting your cursor right on its upper half. That's kind of specific, but whatever. Just her, I guess. Anyway, good night.
I've never really seen a FNAF game be meta like this before, but I guess how else are you supposed to explain the mechanic? I suppose you could say to stare at it, but that wouldn't indicate you need to touch it with your mouse. Overall, a very goofy introduction, and a character that I forgot about so much, I think I died to him more than any other character throughout this entire franchise. Okay, I have many questions. How did that design get into this place, and how did it just fade out of existence? It was called Finn. We never got around to finishing it. It was like Buster's pal. The head was never done, but he had his other pieces done. Although I noticed this Finn had his hands gone. This place is so damn weird. This place is so damn weird. Alright, so really nothing interesting said there at all. Finn was supposed to be Buster's friend. Buster is a fucking robot. He has no friends. Moving on to Night 5, as it should be much more interesting and hopefully have a more interesting post-night cutscene. Night 5 introduces the last threat this game has to offer, Wraith Vinard. A character that isn't too terrible to deal with, but will really just act to take more of your needed time away from Glancy, which is obviously not something we want. Vinard only ever appears on camera 8. Occasionally, when checking that camera, you will see Vinard's silhouette with no eyes. You will have to stare at him until his eyes appear. Once they appear, you will then have to quickly look away as if you aren't the fucking reason his eyes appeared in the first place. Something super interesting to note that I haven't mentioned so far is how these wraiths have been explained by the phone guy, being the only characters he's convinced aren't real. But you might be wondering, if he doesn't think they're real, why does he mention them? That's a good point. Apparently, the guard that worked here before us left several notes about these wraiths, and the phone guy is reading her notes to us in the phone calls. Maybe as an in case, maybe just to make fun of her. Who's to say? Either way, I find it interesting. Vinard? With legs? What is going on anymore? I can't take things seriously. Wait, no. I hear sirens. I still haven't found Matthew. And I got several people outside awaiting my arrival. Police cars. Someone found out. Someone told them. Matthew, you bastard. I will find you. You won't get away with this. I can't believe this is how my story ends. It's not right. I can't. Matthew was never found by any officials or Andrew. Andrew attempted to bring the situation to court, but not enough evidence was collected. Andrew was deemed guilty for the corpse inside Buster's Diner World and was sentenced to death row, his execution following a month after being assigned. This was not the outcome he had thought of. It could have been worse. This story is false. Well, goddamn! Quick recap. In this game, we play as Andrew, the phone guy from the first game. We still don't fully know exactly who Matthew is, but he called the police and informed them that Andrew was at the building and had killed someone. They arrived, found the body in the Glancer suit, and had Andrew killed, giving us the fake ending. Oh god, endings, Dexter. Let's quickly go over what it takes to get the true ending, please. Well, there are several minigames you will need to complete throughout the game in order to get this true ending. Let's blast through how to get them. During each night, a specific camera will have its name flickering slightly. Clicking on the name will shoot you into the minigame. On night 1, it's the main supply camera. On night 2, it's the West Hall. Night 3, it's the secondary supply entry. Night 4, it's the secondary supply entry again. And night 5, it's the power breaker. After completing all the minigames and successfully beating night 5, you'll get the true ending instead. The minigame. It spoke the words I couldn't find myself. Matthew died with his baby. A tape left on him. I can't explain what I've experienced here. I can't go on with this sudden guilt. This damned children's entertainment chain should have never happened. This outcome was not proper. And I can't handle it. I don't know what will happen next. I'll report the death of him and the corpse to the police. At least I can get off with no charges. I can't put myself to do it. I can't go the route my gut wants me to go. Later the same night, Andrew had a heart attack. No evidence was ever turned into the police due to this. Nearly a week later, police arrived after suspicion from pedestrians roaming the streets. Police had not told any officials about what was found and began to demolish the location. Andrew's story is over. An ending to a tragic story. There are no solutions to the problem. Diner World Entertainment was shut down immediately and ran out of business, seeking a new opportunity to reach into kids' hearts. This is the true story. Well, goddamn! Turns out it didn't matter what he did. Andrew still died, and no word of Matthew was ever heard from the police. We just can't win, can we? Well, luckily for us, this storyline does continue, and even more lucky for us, it continues in the best game in the series, and arguably one of the most creative FNAF games ever designed.
I know who you are, Andrew Vargas. I've seen your name in records before. I know what you're doing. You want information. Lots of it. I'm no provider, but I can lead you to what you want. I know that man, Matthew, has been nothing but a mystery to you. His image is shrouded in a dense fog that your gaze cannot penetrate. But you want to break it, do you not? You can either go the full walk or fall short. There is no try this time. All the information you want to grasp so badly can be obtained. All you have to do is satisfy us. There are 3 captives full of knowledge below the storage facility. Treat them to our satisfaction, and they will live out to the 5th and final day. On that day, they will be free. They will be able to tell you all that they know. This is what you want, right? The data you seek is waiting for you.
And here we are! Project Readjusted 3, the last game in the series and undoubtedly the best. This opening cutscene throws us right into the world of this twisted game. We play as Andrew. That might seem a bit confusing since Andrew died in the last game. But guess what? Apparently, both of the fucking endings weren't real. So what the fuck? I'm not joking, by the way. I'm being completely serious. Both of the endings in the second game aren't real. The true ending isn't real. Both the fake ending and the true ending both didn't fucking happen because it takes place before this one. So like, what the fuck was that all about, huh? Anyways, we're not sure who was speaking to us in that cutscene, but apparently there are 3 survivors that have all the information we need to solve whatever is going on with Matthew. And with that, we're tossed into night 1. This game does progress based on objectives instead of time. But rather than a game like Pizzeria Simulator where the tasks you have to complete are mind-numbing, the task in this game actually requires a small bit of brain power, and is truly one of the most creative takes on a FNAF game I've ever seen. We're tasked with protecting these 3 captives. In the cameras, you'll be able to see 3 rooms. Each of these rooms holds one of the captives. You can keep track of their stats at the bottom of the monitor, see how much hunger, thirst, and satisfaction they're all at. Note how much supply you have. Your goal throughout this night is to send these captive shipments of food and water. Then, once they're all satisfied, the night can end. When you open the gate, food and water will slowly be dispensed. You can control which room these packages will go to. The longer you take to send a captive something, the lower their satisfaction will go. At the top of the screen, you'll see a minimum grade you need to complete the night, and which grade you're currently at, meaning you don't have to fill each room up to its entirety to complete the night. However, I'm a fucking badass and chose to get the best grade possible on each night. In order to refill your supplies, you will have to complete a task. A set of numbers will appear in a random order and you will have to click them in that order. When you finish, your supply will be slightly filled. Side note, if you ever see this sliding minigame instead of the number one, that's because in that specific moment, I'm using footage from Indie Fuel, and in his playthrough, he was playing an earlier version of the game that used a different minigame. And that's all that happens on night 1. I could talk about the cameras for sure, but I think that'll become much more important in night 2, which actually brings on the first and main threat this game has to offer. But before we can get to that, in true final game lore dump fashion, after each night we get a post-night minigame to have fun with. In this minigame, we just kinda walk around. We check the stage in the main room and notice that there's supposed to be 2 animatronics on stage, the other being Finn. You may remember him from the second game. We go backstage where we believe Finn should be, only to find a dead child on the ground, bringing this minigame to a close. Something really awesome about this game is the patient hub. Dexter, what's the patient hub? If you'd shut the fuck up and watch the video like a normal person, instead of continuously asking questions like the girl you're watching a movie with that you really wish you didn't invite over because you're just trying to watch the fucking movie, I'd explain it to you. Sorry, lost my temper a little bit. Anyways, the patient hub is on the menu. Using it will actually let you go to talk to the 3 people you're protecting throughout the nights. Throughout the nights, heading to the patient hub, they will give you different pieces of information as the game goes on. On this first night, they don't tell you anything since they've been told they can't yet, probably by whoever put them here. This is such a cool and interesting integration into this game, and I think this is one of the big reasons why this game in particular is so underrated. Night 2 is where this game really starts to get real, introducing the first main threat of the game, Busted. Inside of your monitor, you'll notice the left half that I haven't really mentioned. Well, I'm about to mention it. You'll notice that it only has 3 cameras, but don't let that fool you. Busted will move around the cameras, not only trying to get to you, but to get to the captives as well. If at any point you can't find him on your cameras, that means he's in your office. Your office, by the way, is another thing I've neglected to mention. There are 4 entrances to your office, 2 on each side. You have the 2 obvious hallways in front of you, and then the 2 holes in your walls to the sides of you. Busted is very quiet, so you will have to make sure you're tracking him. Once Busted enters your office, you will have to scare him away with the light. Now, you may think, like most FNAF games, that we'd be given a flashlight, but no, that'd be too easy. In Project Readjusted 3, you're given a fucking glow stick to defend yourself. You know, one of those crack and shake things? Yeah, that's our main means of defense. When Busted is in your office, you have to hold the glow stick on him to scare him away, but there's a catch. Your glow stick cannot be used for very long at all. It has a very short lifespan, so you have to check really fucking quickly. Obviously, if you don't, you'll die. But if you remember, I mentioned Busted being able to attack the captives as well. While watching Busted on your cameras, you may notice that on any of the 3, he may get a bit too close to some of the patient doors. If he does, that's how you know he's about to attack them. When you see him doing this, you must ring the bell on your desk. The noise will attract him to your office and away from the patients. Something super interesting about Busted attacking patients is that if he kills one, you don't lose, and it will actually make the remaining nights easier since you'll have less mouths to feed. However, as I'm sure you could have guessed, if a patient dies, they will never come back throughout the rest of the game. That means no more talking to them in the patient hub at the end of the nights. And of course, if you let all 3 patients die, then you will lose the game. This right here is one of the coolest mechanics I've ever seen in a FNAF game. Project Readjusted 3 is literally just being placed in a saw trap, really. In the post-night 2 minigame, we talk with the other guards about what we saw. They mentioned this is the second time this has happened. Walking up to the stage, we find another dead child, presumably killed by Buster. We're told to check the office for anything else, and we do. Upon finding nothing, we walk back, only to see the ghost of some unknown spirit that looks like Finn walking away.
I started seeing some weird things recently. They were purple weird things. It got closer as I blinded myself, but as I looked at it, it faded away. I don't know what to do. At least the leader himself isn't down here. He is very strict. He would be looking at me, making sure I was staying put and acting appropriately. He threatened to stop liquids from coming into my room if I didn't listen. He really wants us to go his way, so just send us supplies like he wants, at least when he is nearby. As long as he doesn't notice you aren't doing what he wants, he should be fine.
This place is a crazed house, and it's all your fault. I can't believe this! You better get out of here in the end, with me alive!
I've started hearing screams. It sounded like it came from a room adjacent to mine. Maybe I'm hallucinating. After all, we are under that old building. You know it had the fume problem, right? Surely you do. You used to work there. You told us all about you. My sister used to work there, but she hasn't touched it since. I think I've figured out why now. Just don't forget about your main threat, but don't let yourself get too paranoid about it. You got this.
On night 3, we get introduced to the last threat this game has to offer, the purple hallucinations, explained by the fact that there are strange fumes coming from the facility above. These hallucinations act as a nuisance, but a nuisance you're going to want to maintain. They can appear in any of your cameras or in your office, and they're very quiet. If they're on your cameras, you have to stare at them, and if they're in your office, you have to flash your glow stick at them. They will never kill you themselves, but they will scare the patients if you don't get rid of them. And if the patients get scared, they'll scream, and busted will kill them. Not at all a difficult threat, but an annoying one nonetheless. The game doesn't really start to get too difficult yet at this point, so let's just move on to the post-night 3 minigame. In the post-night 3 minigame, we really just want to get out of the building at this point. We meet a guard who says that the crowd outside is still going spastic. As we try to walk outside, I'm assuming we start hallucinating? I'm not really sure because I have no idea what else I'm looking at could possibly even be. And the minigame comes to a close.
I'm too paranoid. You need to just get us out of here. The creatures are multiplying. Just more staring. Listen out for a squeal if something goes wrong over here. Those purple figures always come for us. Just make sure to get rid of them, please.
What's going on over on your end? I keep hearing such strange noises. If you want something out of me, you better keep me satisfied. I don't want whatever is coming for you near me. Ring the bell you were given if one of them is heading to my room, I wouldn't ring that bell all the time, since it is causing noises, of course. Don't be stupid.
Hey, I still can't talk about what I know yet, but I think I know something that may help you in your endeavors. I know some of the quirks of that thing that is hunting you right now. It's very stealthy. You need to keep an eye on it all the time. It may hide in various spots, so make sure to be up to snuff with your surroundings. I don't know much about its chip data, though. I only ever overheard my sister read out some blueprints she picked up on her last workday a few years ago.
Night 4 doesn't introduce anything new, however I do want to take this time to mention a mechanic this game has that makes the entire experience way more difficult than it would normally be. Switching cameras. I know, that may sound like a mechanic that most people wouldn't even think twice about, but it's on this night that busted can start to get pretty quick when moving around. So quickly moving through the cameras will become important. However, even though there's only 3 cameras, switching through them quickly can prove to be quite nerve-wracking. You cannot click any camera at any time. You can only move to cameras adjacent to the camera you're currently on, which means if you're on camera 1 and want to get to camera 3, you will first have to click on camera 2. Typically, this wouldn't be an issue, but you have to wait for a static animation to play each time you switch a camera before you can switch it again. Sure, the animation itself isn't very long, but when you have to switch as much as you do, that time will quickly add up. Overall, this is more of a nitpick than anything, but it is something I noticed during my playthrough, which you can see on my second channel, Dxtr Black. The post-night 4 minigame is a little bit weird. We play as the ghost we saw at the end of the post-night 2 minigame. We walk around the building, talking to children and guards, hearing messages like, "I blame you," and "How can we punish you?" Eventually, we find the body of another child. We say that we can restore it, and upon coming into contact, we get the message, "You must kill them for me."
Just one more to go. Once you left last night, I heard a strange tumbling noise outside. It was metallic and heavy. I don't know what it was, but it may be coming for you this time. Nothing rings a bell, but every time I heard some alarm, it would scamper. I don't think whatever it was likes noise. You have something to play noise? Yes. Please use that to keep yourself safe, but only if it sounds like it's coming close. Using noise at the wrong time may cost you.
You better get me out of here ASAP! I'm done playing these games. If it weren't for that guy holding a pistol to my head for telling you my information early, I would have been long gone. Get it together! I'm tired of talking to you. Then get on with it!
I heard some ruckus outside, friend. I recognized the weird noise pattern from the debugging process from upstairs. Someone was altering the mascot's code. I know this just because of my sister's curiosity. She brought back some pink robot from her workplace to show me how messed up her work environment was. That thing was tossed in the end. It couldn't move regardless, but the same debugging process intro pattern she used was similar to the one I heard upstairs last night. I can only assume that the two systems are related, most likely by the same manufacturer. All I know is that those old models never liked being looked at after some wear and tear. We flashed a light on the pink thing and it sparked a little. It was a very strange find indeed. Well, I hope you can use this information to your advantage tonight. Let's hope we can see the sun once more.
Night 5 introduces one final threat. I know, guys, I've been lying constantly throughout this video, but I prefer to call it keeping you on your toes. The final threat introduced is Subject Model 3A, being another annoying character. He will wander around your cameras and you just have to make sure you're not looking at him. If you look at him for too long, I'm assuming you can guess what happens to you. Major bun pounding, salad tossing, you get it. Don't look at him. Overall, he really doesn't add anything new to the mix, really just making it more annoying to keep track of Busted. But if you can complete it, we'll move on to the final minigame. In this final minigame, we play as a child, walking around the restaurant, following what appears to be the ghost of a child. We follow them into the back room where the first kid was killed and speak to one of the animatronics. They apologize for what they did to us, probably in reference to killing us. They said their chip made them do it and explained that someone else is pulling the strings and making the robots kill people. It ends off by telling us we will never see it again and to leave. Then the minigame comes to a close.
Andrew Vargas, it seems you have found your way. We cannot say we are surprised at your feat, especially considering your perseverance was quite equal to your past endeavors. You found your sources, exactly what you wanted. Though, did you ever think to look for more data you could use towards your search? The patients you have saved do not hold all of the information, but just enough for you to draw a plausible conclusion. Regardless of your intentions with the data you hold, your time here is over. You have what you came for, but do you feel empty with what you hold? That is a question that will be left in the air for you to grasp. For now, you may take your prized patients outside of this facility with you. Until you find your true desire and recollection, we thank you for playing our game.
I can't believe it! You did it? I'm free from this place? Oh, I must tell you what I know. Well, okay, I was a producer for one of the most popular animatronic performer shows a few years back. I was vital, but I got to the point where I knew too much, and that is how I wound up here. This man was someone I used to work with. He created these things for his own entertainment business, but he eventually took it too far. He created a powerful computer to control all of his creations from a distance, with whatever behavior he wanted. He always left his plans on his work desk, but one day he felt like something was off. Some grew suspicious of his projects, myself included, but I never took it as far as this one group of people. They were dedicated to finding his grand computer. They went as far as setting up hidden cameras around the building to track anything they could. Anything that could leave a trace back to its whereabouts. But they never found it, because the man attacked and killed one of them. I saw it on old discarded footage. That is all I know. I hope this helps you.
It took you long enough? Let's make this conversation quick. I was one of the construction employees set to renovate the supply and storage facility for future use. It was gonna be under some childish name like Busters, I think. I was the only one that showed up to the job early, like always. I got to one of the storage trucks I left outside, and that's where my life took a turn. They had a rotting corpse and dismantled robots in that truck, man. A rotting corpse. You could never understand how disgusting that was to see face to face. Sucker fell right out of the truck too, like it was last in line. It was in some blue wreck of a mascot suit. It had a camera stuffed in its mouth. It was horrible. I think you get it now. I went to go get my bag and quit my job, but some gray thing grabbed me and pulled me deeper into that building. Next thing you know, I was dangling for my life. Awesome, right? Well, it pulled me past some satellite. It was covered in those dumb white masks you've seen. The same one the guy is wearing. It's all some weird gimmick. But I know what that gimmick is for. That satellite was being used to get that white rabbit robot back from the depths of the forest, right off of Brickview Boulevard. It had to have been made for that. I'm no fool. I knew about that white monster rumor, and I even went hunting for it one time with the boys. It has to be linked. That's all I got for you. We better not come into contact like this again.
I have to owe you something for your determination, my friend. I'm honored. Oh, right, I do owe you something. I have something to tell you. Before this, I was an aspiring mechanical engineer. Machines have always enticed me, so I had been studying it for months prior to this incident. As you know, my sister had worked at that old supply and storage facility years ago. She was my main inspiration for this interest of mine. That night, when she came home with that pink robot, changed everything for me. We dug into the hardware of the robot ourselves. Our father had some spare tools in the garage, so we didn't have to rip into it to damage the thing even worse. We found a lot of weird oddities. One of the most obvious ones was its back. It had the tips of endoskeleton fingers buried in the suit piece, like it was torn apart by one of its own. Another one was its eye. We found a serial number printed in a fine black font face in the back of the eyelids, but it only routed to a 404 page on our home computer. Lastly, it had a code written on the inside of each of the suit parts. It read Model Pound 3C. I don't know the significance of the C. Maybe it was part of a trio, unless there are models with parts 3D or more. We extracted the chip from the robot, though. It was in a very rough condition, but it was somewhat intact. It even had a USB slot in it, which was extremely new at the time. We plugged the cord into our home computer, but it pulled up a ton of strange prompts. We clicked through all of them and found a folder with many text files inside of it. A lot of it was just a garbled mess, but some had what seemed to be addresses. They were impossible for us to decipher fully. Was this animatronic generation holding locations? That's the strange part. What's even more strange is that it had a file named task.txt amongst all the other distorted file names. We opened it, but for some reason the USB had ejected itself. We tried plugging it back into the computer, but it wouldn't pick it up again. All I was able to see before it disconnected was something along the lines of, "He must see what I have done, and maybe he will realize he should have stayed by my side. I know what I'm doing." That's all that I know, friend. See you on the other side.
Project Readjusted's story doesn't throw the answers at you. It gives you pieces, conversations, job descriptions, weird one-liners, and you're meant to piece together what was really happening behind the walls of Buster's Diner World. But once you line everything up, the picture is pretty clear. Two employees start a project they don't fully understand. It gets out of control, and one of them ends up paying the price for it. It all starts after Buster shuts down. The public thinks the place is done, the animatronics are boxed up, and everyone has moved on. but Diner World Entertainment hasn't. They're still in the building, still tinkering, and still trying to push something forward, something they only ever call the project. And at the center of it are two people, Andrew Vargas and his co-worker, Matthew. The two are exploring the closed building long after hours, checking the animatronics, looking through old hardware, and trying to locate something hidden deep inside the cast. Something the company wants extremely badly. A special chip connected to a hostile presence in the animatronics. They can't pull it out safely, they can't study it while it's roaming, and they can't risk handling it directly. So their entire plan is built around one thing: lure the entity into range, pull the chip, replace it, and get out. But they can't do it themselves. They need someone to sit in the office every night, act like a regular night guard, and unintentionally draw the animatronics towards them so Andrew and Matthew can track the patterns. That's where Hayden comes in. On paper, Hayden is just watching the cameras for 6 short nights. In reality, he's bait. Everything he sees, Buster, Glancer, Redeemer, all of it is part of a larger plan to drag this thing out. And for the most part, the plan works. The animatronics are active, the patterns are recorded, the project moves into its second stage. But then something happens that completely derails Matthew. Someone else breaks into the building. A man who isn't supposed to be there. Someone snooping around who gets far too close to whatever Andrew and Matthew are doing. The fandom calls him the Spy, and Matthew panics. Instead of letting their secret get out, he kills the intruder. Not an accident, a choice. And it's the moment everything changes. Andrew is horrified, Matthew goes quiet, and from that point on, the two of them aren't on the same page anymore. Not long after that, Matthew disappears. No goodbye, no confession, no explanation. He's just gone. And Andrew is left with two things: a project he no longer trusts, and a friend who might have destroyed himself trying to finish it. When Project Readjusted 2 begins, we're not playing as Hayden anymore. We're someone closer to the company, a technician finishing their final assignment for Diner World Entertainment. This job isn't about survival, it's about data. Watching animatronic behavior, tracking motion patterns, feeding information back into whatever the project is turning into. And in the background of all of this, someone, heavily implied to be Andrew, keeps repeating the same thoughts. He's been gone for so long. I need answers. Where did he go? The entire game feels like Andrew trying to keep the company satisfied while quietly searching for any clue about Matthew's disappearance. Meanwhile, the animatronics are no longer just mascots. They're infested, corrupted, wired shut, and torn open. The prototypes that were experimented on long after Buster's closed. The project has clearly moved forward, and whatever they pulled from those animatronics is now being pushed into something else, something bigger, something human. And Andrew eventually gets the lead he's been waiting for, something that points away from Buster's, away from the diner entirely, and into a new location, a facility the company is tied to, a place where living subjects are being kept alive for testing. And to follow this trial, Andrew makes a deal, a job offer he can't refuse, something that promises answers about Matthew at a cost. That's where Project Readjusted 3 picks up. Andrew is now inside this medical facility, sitting in a monitoring booth, watching over patients who can't leave their rooms. His job is to keep them alive by sending supplies down long, empty hallways, making sure they don't lose consciousness, and trying not to get killed by something stalking him in the dark. A twisted, hulking version of Buster that shouldn't even exist in a place like this. But the deeper Andrew goes, the more obvious it becomes that this facility is just the project's final phase. The animatronics were only the beginning. The chip, the patterns, the experiments, all of it was leading to human testing. And somewhere inside this building, one of the patients isn't just another victim. He's the thing Andrew has been searching for since the moment Matthew vanished. Matthew didn't run. He didn't escape. He didn't move on. He was taken, absorbed into the same project he helped build. In Project Readjusted 3, Matthew is the subjected member, a living test subject altered by the very experiments he and Andrew once tried to control. And that's the real truth behind Project Readjusted. A company digs up something dangerous hidden inside their animatronics. 2 employees tried to pull off a secret extraction, someone dies, one of them vanishes, and years later the entire operation has grown into a human experimentation program, with Matthew trapped at the center of it, and Andrew desperately trying to undo the damage. This game never spells everything out, and the dev has even said the full story was never completely written down, but from what everything we do see, the trilogy comes down to a single idea. They started the project together, Andrew survived it, Matthew didn't. But as far as I could gather, and as far as I'm aware, that's all Project Readjusted has to offer. There was supposed to be a final installment, Project Readjusted 4 Jet Black, but it was cancelled due to scheduling conflicts and the pair incident of Game Jolt, which I'm not going to dive into today. Maybe another time. Overall, I think each game in this series progressively got better and better. I think the story I was able to piece together is really interesting and very good, but I really wish it was more concrete so I didn't have to speculate as much as I did. Project Readjusted 3 is a phenomenal FNAF game and one of the most creative I've ever seen, and I highly recommend you give this series a try. If there's one thing about the Five Nights at Freddy's lore that I never liked, it was the fact that the games expected you to be able to connect the dots of the story, even though Scott Cawthon himself admitted that he never really knew where it was going. And it's because of that we have a game series with a lore so broken and confusing that nobody really knows what's going on. However, some fan game devs like to take it upon themselves to connect those dots for us and throw their own unique spin on the games, and the game we'll be talking about today is no different. The game we're going to be looking at is called Five Nights at Freddy's: The Flip Side, and I honestly feel like it explains some of the official game's lore's biggest plot holes perfectly, while also offering an incredibly fun gameplay loop. Grab a snack and get ready as we dive into the world of FNAF: The Flip Side.
Hello, Frank? It's me, Henry. Listen, I know you don't work with us anymore, but I really need some help. And I wasn't sure who else to call. We're supposed to test some prototypes for a client. But you know how things are at MCM these days. We're overloaded with projects. If you're available, could you come to Fredbear's? The testing will take place there. I'll make sure they leave the front door open for you. Once you get there, give me a call. There should be a phone in the storage room. Oh, and before you ask, yes, I'll make sure you'll be paid handsomely for this. Alright, Frank, I'll be waiting for you.
So there we go. We've got our motive for almost dying for the next 6 nights, and FNAF: The Flip Side finally begins. There was a lot of hype for this game, so I'm ready to get right into it. We open to a free roam section of the game where we're free to wander around pretty much the entire building we're about to sit our hairy, smelly, sweaty, unwashed rumps in for the next 6 days. If we walk into the backstage area, we'll get access to something this game calls the Hand. This can be used to listen to audio logs that get added every night, so we should make sure we're always going to check on them. The audio log on night 1 goes as follows.
Come on, turn on. Oh my god. Finally. This is the 5th time I've been called out here. Last week we got these new hand terminals from MCM. William had me install one backstage. I told him very clearly that thing pulls nearly 80% load if it's not on a dedicated circuit. Did we upgrade the wiring? No. Now the diner loses power 10 times a day, and somehow it's my fault. They keep telling me to replace the diodes in the fuse box. It's not the damn diodes! But he won't listen. He never listens. He just keeps telling me to fix it. You can't fix stupidity, William. It's failing the exact same way it's supposed to. Yeah, that's it. End log.
I'm on the same page as Daniel here. This is the exact type of bullshit you would expect a stupid, out-of-touch old boss to say to you. Moving on, there are also some collectibles we're told to find. If you couldn't guess, these are needed for the true ending of the game, so make sure you're picking them up unless you want the bad ending for some reason. I would tell you where these bobbleheads are located, however, it seems to be completely random. There was one time it was on the stage, but apparently that was just a bug and it wasn't supposed to happen. so I really have no idea. Just go find them. There's no threats during these sections, so you can take all the time you need. All right, with that out of the way, we can finally jump right into the night sections. And what's a better thing to start talking about aside from the tools at our disposal, like I also like to do at the beginning of these videos? I'm just gonna talk about the camera system because that's literally all that's relevant on this night. It's a camera system. That's really it. The buttons are on the right side of the screen instead of being on a map, so that's pretty cool, I suppose. And on one of the cameras, you can see a window to the street where you can actually watch cars pass by, which I do think is super cool. Really puts you into the immersion that, yes, this is a real place and there are people around. It's a really good way of making you feel more alone, knowing there are people outside of the building who could help you, yet nobody is going to. It's a super creepy thing to think about. If we look at the stage, we can see that the animatronics seem to be characters you can see in the final section of Secret of the Mimic, which I do think is actually super cool. I have yet to see a game that uses those specific characters together, so this could be fun. Oh yeah, I should also probably mention that this game is made by Toaster Dev, the same guy that made FNAF Legacy, and it was also worked on a bunch by Weirdo Speed, another very popular FNAF YouTuber and game dev, so you already know this game is about to be crazy. Now, moving on to the first threat this game and night introduces, that being Fredbear 2.0. I'm just gonna call him Fredbear since that's a lot less typing. Fredbear does not have a lot of places to go before reaching your office. He starts in camera 6 before moving to camera 8, -1. No, I'm not saying it. Fuck you. Then he goes to camera 5, which if you're not looking at your camera while he goes from 7 to 5, you can actually see him walking across the doorway to your office, which is just so fucking cool. I love it when games do shit like this. Holy fuck, I'm gonna skeet everywhere. Anyways, from there he will walk back across the doorway and appear to the left of you. From here, you will enter a quick time minigame that you will need to complete to save your life. This is explained as like some programming that you're doing to Fredbear or something. I don't really know. We don't even lay our hands on him. You will have to use WASD for this minigame. When he enters your office, a timer will appear along with one of the letters. You will have to press through multiple of the letters before the timer runs out or he eats your butt. If you ever mess up a key press, you don't die immediately, but the timer will drop by a few seconds, making it all the more likely it'll eat your butt. But if you can defend yourself from him, he'll teleport back to camera 6 and the cycle will repeat itself. I guess I should also mention that when he's making his way to your office, your cameras will turn yellow with a message telling you that Fredbear is coming. But you shouldn't really need that since you'll be able to hear his loud ass clanker feet making their way towards you. But with that, this night is easy and we can move on to the first post-night minigame. This post-night minigame is very annoying, I can't even lie, and for a reason that really shouldn't even be apparent, yet apparent it is. The goal of this minigame is to repair Fredbear. The way we do so is both easy, yet doesn't really make any sense. We'll have to pull up our maintenance monitor and drag several shapes into their respective places. You know that square hole game everybody had as a kid? Yeah, it's that. Why the fuck does this fix Fredbear? I literally have no idea at all. Every time you successfully drag a shape, your progress will increase by 2%. Get it to 100 and you complete this minigame. However, you may have noticed I haven't complained about anything yet, which just can't be the case. Fredbear will randomly attack you throughout this minigame. Dealing with him is simple. When he attacks, he automatically pulls your monitor down, and all you have to do is quickly boop his nose to reset him. Apparently, his nose is a button that resets his facial recognition. Sure, buddy, just say you took inspiration from FNAF shitpost. It's okay to admit it. I know, I'm a genius. Now, that's not a problem. No. The problem is these stupid fucking shapes. You would think that the shape at the top that you have to drag would change each time you drag the shape and drop it where it needs to go. But no, that would make too much sense. Instead, what really happens is that the shape will randomly change every 1.5 seconds, regardless of whether you're holding it or not. So you could be just about to drop the square into the square hole, and all of a sudden it turns into a fucking rhombicosydodecahedron at the last second, and now you lose. And what does losing mean? Well, it drops your progress by 20%, and each shape only gives you 2%. Are you fucking me in my dick hole right now? You've got to be kidding me. That's so rape. Oh yeah, and since I'm saying semi-offensive words, I might as well add another one to the list. I saw a guy in my comments recently who timestamped the first time I said the dreaded R word in my video. My guess is they're doing this in a piss-poor attempt to be passive-aggressive, so here, this one's just for you, retard. Moving on to night 2. Night 2 begins with a free roam section. Of course, we could just start the night, but why do that when we could listen to an audio log instead? Yippee!
Hello? Is this thing on? Finally! I need to get this on record, because if I don't, I'm going to lose my mind. I've had to clean out the fridge in the kitchen again. This is the 5th time this week. The 5th! Isn't this supposed to be the janitor's responsibility, or maintenance, or literally anyone who isn't the head chef? Because last I checked, I was hired to cook food. Yet here I am wondering how this place is still legally allowed to operate. And the fridge? Oh my god, the fridge. I don't even know where they dug this thing up, but it's like it was designed to ruin food. Milk spoils in 2 days. It's not even refrigeration. It's practically accelerated decomposition. I swear it'd be safer leaving the food out on the counter. And don't even get me started on management. William especially. Every time I bring this up, he waves off like it's nothing. We'll look into it. Yeah, sure. You've been looking into it for months. We've poisoned what? 5 customers because of it? 5! Yeah, I can't do it anymore. I quit.
Once again, just adding to the conclusion that William is an out-of-touch boss. Who would have thought? It's not like he does really questionable weird shit like all the time. That would be absurd. Oh yeah, grab a bobblehead wherever the fuck it is, and we can jump into the night section. Night 2 introduces one new threat, that being Spring Bonnie 2.0, who, of course, I will just be calling Spring Bonnie since that's easier. And Spring Bonnie also isn't too big of an issue, but could easily become a problem if you let him get out of hand. Occasionally, Bonnie will move into what I will call his attack mode. When he enters attack mode, he will make a sound cue and move from camera 6 to camera 8, then to 7, followed by 6, and finally into camera 3. From there, he'll just fucking kill you. While you can't put Bonnie back on stage, you can move him away from you. And how you do so is probably exactly what you expected. Audio lures. Only certain cameras in the building actually have places that can use audio, and thankfully, unlike most games that have audio lures, this one doesn't have a certain amount, and you can spam them as much as you'd like. As you would expect, drag Bonnie around the cameras with this audio lure to prevent him from going cave diving in your ass and mining the rock hard diamond crusty shit trapped between your buns because you don't wipe properly. And he really shouldn't be a problem. Again, you can't get him back on stage, but you can pretty easily keep him in camera 8. But yeah, that's about it. Nothing else new is added on this night, and Bonnie doesn't add too much of an issue in combination with Freddy. However, there is one more thing I want to mention before moving on. At 5 a.m. every night, the AI of all active animatronics will increase. Just a fun way of saying fuck you in the last minute of the night. Amazing. On to the Night 2 post-night minigame, which is nowhere near as frustrating as the first. This time we're fixing Spring Bonnie, and the pattern for completing it is the same. The only difference is the minigame itself on the monitor, and how to deal with Bonnie. Dealing with him is simple. When he attacks, just use the speaker to play music and he'll calm down. Now for the minigame, which I actually really like. A small rectangle will bounce back and forth across the screen. In the center of the screen, you'll see a little bar. As the moving rectangle passes over the bar, you'll have to press space. For each successful press you make, you'll gain 2 to 4% progress at random, and the rectangle will start moving a little faster. If you ever miss a press, you'll only lose 5% power, so clearly they were out of their fucking minds when they designed the first minigame, but who knows. Anyways, one more thing I should mention is that after each minigame, we get a number for a code that we can type into the hand unit during the free roam sections. So yeah, just make sure you're writing those down. Night 3 once again starts with a free roam section, so let's grab that random bobblehead and listen to the audio log.
Okay, it's recording. Quick note for management, since apparently nobody believes me. That little vacuum robot we got from MCM, the Cleanovac, yeah, it's not really helping. Every party, some kid grabs it and shoves it somewhere disgusting. Trash cans, sinks. Today, it was in the toilet. The toilet! I'm the one who fishes it out with gloves, and I'm the one who has to clean it, dry it, fix it. Every single time. It's a vacuum, not a toy. If I find it in the toilet one more time, I'm not saving it. I'm letting it die, and I'm telling William it was water damage. Yeah, that's all. Bye.
In case you guys were interested and couldn't tell, that character was played by me. And the name they gave that character is incredibly clever, being a triple entendre. Love you guys. Anyways, yeah, I find it funny how I talk about how much I hate kids in my videos, and then I get to play a character in a game who yells at kids. Perfect for me. Let's move on to the night section. Night 3 introduces one new threat, that being Monty, who apparently wasn't supposed to be able to move, but yet he does, so fucking awesome. I just love that so much. Monty's pretty easy overall, and he also introduces a new mechanic, that being the curtain directly in front of you, which you are able to hold closed. This will obviously be how you defend yourself from him. When Monty goes into attack mode, he will make a loud sound cue and move into camera 3. Inside of camera 3, he will move through 3 phases like Foxy before moving to your doorway. Something very weird about him is, unlike other characters, where when they move in the cameras briefly flicker to cover up the movement, Monty's movements don't do this, so you just kind of awkwardly watch him snap into place, which just feels really weird. Once Monty jumps in front of your doorway, just hold the curtain closed until he leaves. Henry, who, by the way, is the guy on the phone at the beginning of each night, tells us that we should really be keeping an eye on him once he leaves the stage, which would make me think that, like Foxy, watching him on the cameras will stall him. However, as you'll find out, it actually doesn't do that at all. Monty doesn't make the night a whole lot more stressful quite yet, as when Monty enters your doorway, he makes a really obvious sound cue, so you don't really need to watch him on the cameras at all. The best thing to do at this point is sit on camera 8 to watch for Bonnie, and only ever pull down the monitor when getting attacked by Monty or Fredbear. Both Fredbear and Monty can attack you at the same time, but luckily the devs thought of this and made it not complete RNG aids, because if Fredbear attacks while Monty is at the curtain, then the curtains won't close and you'll be safe to deal with Fredbear. And if Monty arrives during Fredbear's attack, then you can quickly close the curtains and they'll stay closed throughout the attacks. Thank you so much, you two. I could give you a kiss on the mouth for real. Anyways, time to move on to the post-night 3 minigame. And of course, with Monty being introduced, he is who we're fixing on this night. Once again, the only changes are the minigame and how to defend yourself. On the bottom shelf in the room we're in, there will be a mask. And surprise, surprise, that's what you put on when Monty starts dworking in your face. The minigame is honestly really disappointing, as it's just the Funtime Freddy minigame from Sister Location, except a million times less fucking aids. Just hold the buttons to increase the percentage until you beat the night. Congrats, this one was boring as fuck. Let's move on to night 4. Free roam time, grab a bobblehead and let's take a listen.
Hello? Okay, I think it's working. These hand terminals are so buggy. So I just started working here at Fredbear's, first day and all that, and honestly it's kinda nice. It's cozy even. Place has that old school charm, it smells like pizza grease and cheap cleaner, but in a weird way it works. Only one tiny issue. Who the hell picked the animatronic names? Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. Like, seriously, that's what we're going with? Why Spring Bonnie and then just Fredbear? Why isn't it Spring Bear? Or Spring Freddy? Or literally anything else that matches? It sounds like 2 completely different people named them on opposite sides of the room, and nobody bothered to discuss it further. Hey, what should we call the rabbit? Spring Bunny? Cool. And the bear? Fredbear. It makes 0 sense. And it bugs me. Way more than it should. I can't explain why. Every time I say the names out loud, it just sounds like the branding department gave up halfway through. That's about it. See ya.
Honestly, bro, reasonable crash out. Seems like the type of random shit I would complain about for filler in one of these videos, so I appreciate you doing it for me. Oh yeah, and for some reason we get another log on this night too.
Is this thing on? Yeah? Okay, good. I couldn't find a complaint box anywhere, so I figure this is the only way those schmucks at corporate might actually listen. I got hired to handle plumbing and a few other bits of general maintenance around the joint roughly, 5 to 6 months ago. Might I say you people suck at maintaining a building. I can't walk 2 steps in this place without finding a new leak I gotta fix. Leaky pipes, leaky roof, leaky suits. Oh, wait. I'm not supposed to talk about that. Wait, hold on. How come this place is held together with scotch tape and prayers, yet somehow you have enough budget to pay me 16 crap loads to keep my yap shut about what I saw in the back room? You people disgust me, by the way. Oh, I guess I'm not one to talk. I took your blood money after all. And you ain't getting it back. My money now, suckers! Maybe having all that on the record ain't the smartest idea. How do I delete this? Maybe this button.
So, this is probably my favorite log throughout the entire game. Just so goofy, yet explains some very interesting information. Probably the most important info we've got so far throughout the entire game. I also love the ending of the tape. It's just the right amount of retarded to make me giggle a little bit. Anyways, on to the night section. I sure hope the most enraging character of all time doesn't activate. Spoiler alert, the most enraging character of all time activates. Night 4 introduces a character named Bub. Once Bub moves, he will enter either camera 4 or camera 5. Something about these cameras you'll notice is that you can close vents on these cameras. From what Henry explains in the phone calls, it sounds like Edwin may have specifically designed Bub to crawl into vents for a currently unknown reason. Now, all you have to do for Bub sounds pretty easy. When he attacks, he makes a sound cue in your left or right ear. All you have to do is close the respective vent on that side of the cameras and he won't be able to get to you. Luckily, if you're being attacked by Monty or Fredbear, Bub will not be able to move. Period. These devs had every opportunity to make Bub the most frustrating character from any FNAF game ever, and they didn't do it. And I'm forever grateful for that. I would literally eat the lice out of their hair if they had lice. Now, I said Bub was frustrating, but why is that the case? He doesn't sound too bad. Well, where it comes from is just his sheer speed, as Bub is incredibly fast and will bounce between both vent rooms and crawl into the vents at actual light speed. It's insane how much hops this guy has. It's actually pretty impressive. As long as you're keeping an eye on him, this night isn't too much different. Of course, this brings up the problem of not being able to watch Bonnie, but overall, with enough practice, this night really shouldn't be too bad. On to the post-night minigame, and this one is by far more complex than any other minigame we've seen so far. Doesn't really mean it's hard per se, but there is a lot more focusing you have to do. The way you complete this minigame is another boring hold the button minigame until you reach 100%. However, what you need to do alongside that is where this one gets interesting. When Bub attacks you, all you have to do is shock him, as during this night you actually get the ability to do that. You also get access to an additional monitor this time around that acts kind of like a FNAF 3 repair panel. In it, you have to keep Bub's integrity charged and continuously charge your shock button or else it won't work. The lower Bub's integrity is, the more often he'll attack, and of course the more often he attacks, the less power your shocker is going to have. The best strategy I found was every 10% of progress I made, charge the generator and shocker a little bit. And of course, deal with Bub whenever he decides to have a seizure directly in front of you. But with that, we get another piece of the code and we can move on to Night 5. Of course, Night 5 starts with a free roam section, so let's listen to that audio log.
Hi, I'm John Fazbear. If you're listening to this log, that means that a piece of licensed Fazbear Entertainment art made by you isn't up to our company standard. Don't fret, however. As the lead director of the marketing department here at Fredbear's, my job is to teach and guide you through the process of making promotional material that is suitable for our wonderful customers. Give me a moment.
Samantha, where is my coffee, goddammit? I asked you 15 minutes ago! What do I pay you for, woman?
Sorry about that. We're gonna have to cut that one out. As I was saying, the purpose of this log series is to help in making your art pieces compliant with our company values. There's my coffee. Thank you so much, Samantha. You truly are the backbone of this company. Sorry, fellas. She's married to Fazbear Entertainment. Where was I? Right. Refusal or failure to comply with our strict company marketing policy will result in job termination, military discharge, legal action, loss of company benefits, impounding of vehicle, loss of hearing, degenerative bone disease, beheading.
Yelling over coffee is crazy, bro. Moving on, there is actually a final audio log from William Afton. However, as you can probably tell, yeah, we're not gonna be able to listen to this one because it's a bit broken. I'd be willing to bet that William did something to the hand unit so that nobody could listen to whatever it is he said. Also, now is the time you'd be able to put in the password you've been piecing together throughout the nights. I have no idea if this code is random per game, but I'd be willing to bet it probably is. After entering in the password, we see blueprints of the Mimic, along with an audio log from Edwin himself. It goes as follows.
Will, hey, the mascots have been fully upgraded. You won't have to worry about wearing those ever again. Unless you really want to, anyway. Henry will bring them in Saturday morning. I don't want to brag, but I think I might have struck gold with this one. I won't say too much just yet, but this could put MCM on the map as the greatest entertainment and carnival technology company in the country. My inventions are going to be everywhere, and you wanted me to sell the factory. Ha! Good one, Will.
Anyways, with that out of the way, we can actually move on to the night section, which this time around doesn't introduce any new threats and is just a much harder version of Night 4. Bub's speed somehow increases even more, having him bolt to your vents about every 10 seconds. I truly think the biggest problem on this night is 100% Bonnie. With how much Bub attacks and how frequently Fredbear and Monty attack, it is very likely Bonnie will slip away from you, so really be on your A game. The most interesting thing about this night is the phone call. We hear Henry talking about creating springlock suits as opposed to buying a bunch of Mimic prototypes, but Edwin apparently had no interest in any of it, so he decided to build it himself and bring it straight to William, and well, we all know how that turned out. Generally, just keep your cool and focus on this night. Honestly, it isn't too terrible in comparison to some of the other Night 5s we've covered on this channel. After completing Night 5 is where this game splits into two endings depending on whether or not you've collected all the bobbleheads in the pre-Night Free Roam sections. If you at any point missed one, you just get this piss-poor cutscene before the game ends.
Hey Frank, it's me again. I've backed everything up and I'm headed back to the factory now. I'll take a look at your notes and see what we can improve. Let me know when you get the paycheck, alright? Okay, Frank. Talk to you soon.
Now, that's fucking boring. What we care about is the true ending. What happens if we did gather all of the bobbleheads? Well, we get access to Night 6, so let's get going. During the free roam section of Night 5, we have an interesting task, that being to place some mascots on stage. These being a much fatter version of Freddy and a Spring Bonnie that really just kind of looks like Glitch Trap. If you're wondering why we're doing this, it's actually because during this night, we're actually playing as Henry himself, as he did say he needed to head to the pizzeria to put the new mascots on stage. So once we enter the night section, we get this phone call.
Hello?
Hello, Henry. It's William. Listen, I have to check on the new building soon, so I'll be there in a few hours. Please wait for me. I need to talk to you about something important.
With all due respect, sir, I don't think I can wait that long. I was only supposed to take the prototypes and bring in the new mascots. There are other matters at the factory that need my attention.
Well, work always comes first, doesn't it? I respect that. Then I'll get straight to the point, I suppose. I need you to convince Edwin to sell me the factory.
The factory? Sir, I don't think I understand.
Listen, Henry. Murray's will collapse within a few years if someone doesn't step in. Edwin may be a brilliant creator, but he's in metabolic business. I am. Under my leadership, the company wouldn't just survive. It would flourish. More contracts, more reliable employees, and more time for him to focus on his creations. However, if I were to speak to Edwin myself, he'd decline my offer immediately. You know him. He's stubborn. Stubborn just like his old man. He believes he can handle everything, but he's only dragging the company further down. Help me save the factory, Henry. The workers need their jobs. The world needs innovation. But that will only happen if I'm in charge.
I don't think that's possible, sir. It's all he has left of his father. I don't believe he'd give it up so easily. Not to mention Fiona.
I can handle Fiona. Reaching Edwin is the difficult part. But I have faith in you, Henry. You're more capable than you realize. I've seen your dedication. I've seen your abilities. You're meant for more than what MCM is offering you. Do this for me, and the management position of the franchise location is yours.
Sir,
Think about it, Henry.
And with that crazy call, Night 6 begins, acting as this game's boss fight night. Except this time there's 2 bosses instead of only 1. Each character takes the role of 2 of the previous animatronics we've seen, so let's start by talking about the least interesting of the 2, Freddy. Freddy takes the place of Fredbear and Monty. Pretty simple to understand. He can pick either of their attacks at random and then just do them. Nothing very interesting to mention here except for the fact that he's fat as holy hell. Spring Bonnie is where this night gets a bit interesting. So I said both characters take the roles of 2 of the previous characters, but I fucking lied. He only takes the role of Bub. However, he does change how Bub's attack works. During this night, for some reason, you lose access to the ability of closing your right vent. Instead, that Freddy mask that you've seen on your desk this entire game is finally going to be put to use. If you hear Spring Bonnie attack the left vent, same as Bub, just close the vent. However, if he attacks the right side, you will have to quickly put your mask on. And I mean, like, really fast. It is fucking crazy how fast this rabbit is. Now, here's the crazy part. Both Freddy and Spring Bonnie can attack you at the same time. So I recommend that every time you pull your camera down, you put your mask on, since you can deal with Freddy while it's on, and if Spring Bonnie decides to attack at the same time, you're screwed. And really, the only camera you need to be watching throughout this night is the left vent camera to be checking for Spring Bonnie, because even though he makes a sound cue like Bub, he is way fucking faster. But if you can keep yourself on your toes all night, you'll complete Night 6 and get this final cutscene. So, the true ending shows the aftermath and how William Afton completely took over the industry, killing Fiona in a fire during Fall Fest and taking over Edwin's company with him mysteriously going missing. At the end of the day, William got what he wanted. But of course, we all know what happens next in the fallout of Henry and Afton, but that's a story for another day. But with that, that is all Five Nights at Freddy's The Flip Side has to offer. And holy shit, did I love it. Overall, I think The Flip Side is an amazing take on the FNAF lore and does an amazing job connecting some of the dots from the main game. The game looks super cool, the animations are incredible, and the gameplay loop is just the right amount of challenging to both not be mind-numbing and not be ass-hair-rippingly difficult. And I would totally recommend it. Oh yeah, and I voice acted in it, so bonus points there. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with me, or do you think that this game is actually just completely mid? Let me know in the comments below. In my Freddy and the Gang video, I asked you guys what series or game you'd like to see me recover and why. And my favorite answer was everybody who said the Wario's series. Trust me, a big Wario's video is on the way. It's just going to take me a very long time to write. The question of this video is, what FNAF game do you think needs a remaster and why? With the question of the video being asked, subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it a lot. Thank you to these 3 talented artists for your fan art. You can submit yours in the Discord, link in the description. Thank you to all of my super fan channel members. You guys help me continue to make these videos so that people reach out to me to put me in games, which I love doing. I've been Dexter, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya!